for today?
Well, good morning. Thank you again for being here. I'm pleased to see you here. I'm pleased to be here. This is the first time all year I've had a chance to speak with you in person. Recorded some talks, but this is my first chance to speak with you all in person all year, ever since the Eaton fire. I do appreciate your being here. There'll be more and more of us as time goes on and people realize we're here again. We think we're going to be on the campus more fully very soon, but right now we're in this part of this building and we have the one restroom on the porch of the gym open. We think by the middle of the week we'll have the other buildings open. We hope. We haven't gotten a written report yet, but we're coming back. We're coming back. Besides thanking all of you for being here, I very much appreciate seeing you. I want to thank our colleagues again, just as Kathy did. Thank Alan Goto for the videography and tech support. Howard Hayes for playing organ for us. Kathy Mikuni and Allison Yasaki, Ali Yasaki and Kathy Mikuni are minister's assistants for helping to prepare the Nigene. They were cleaning this morning, and Kathy helped do the flowers. And of course, Kyoko Kura-Gibbs cleans the Nigene and the Hondo several times during the week and does the main job of selecting and preparing the flowers. So thanks to all of you for your hard work. I also want to thank Minister's Assistant Ali Yasaki for her 2 excellent Dharma talks earlier this month. And although she's not here in the room with us, I want to thank Reverend Stacy Reardon for her intriguing Dharma talk last week. Today you have me again. But maybe at this juncture my approach will seem novel to you, surprising. Although I will not speak at great length today, perhaps you'll be surprised not having heard my perspective on things for some time. It may surprise you that I'm going to begin by addressing the murder of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. It's not topical anymore. What's more, like many of you, I'd never heard of him before he was murdered. Never heard of the guy. And I've not looked into what he had to say in any detail, because it does not matter. From what I have to say, regarding what a Buddhist would have to say about it, it doesn't matter. Buddhism does not authorize violence against anybody at any time, no matter what they say or do. Is there some imaginary situation someone could concoct where you or I would act violently against another person? Well, maybe, but we still wouldn't have the Buddha's authorization. The Buddha Dharma would still say, no, don't harm that person, no matter what they did, no matter what they're saying. We do not authorize violence in our tradition. We're only about the 2nd or 3rd least violent religion in the world, but that's pretty good. We can't beat the Jains. They're also called the Jains, and I've only met one of them that was living and breathing in my life, and he referred to himself as a Jain. But they are even more committed to non-harming than we are. But they're the only organized religion I know of that is even surpasses us in just refusing to go to violence. It's just like, do you think you have to be violent? Well, that's your business. You don't have my authorization. You don't have the Buddha's authorization. You're never going to get the just war authorization from us. That's just not what we do. Now, you have no doubt heard the famous Buddhist statement from the Dhammapada, verse 5 of the Dhammapada, among other texts. It's in many texts, and it's not worded exactly the same way in every text. The actual Dhammapada, the one you've heard so many times, is that hatred is never ended by hatred. Hatred is only ended by love. And that is correct, accurate, and good. Although I do think probably the way the Buddha himself phrased it was, hatred is only ended by non-hatred. That was the original wording, non-hatred. But the Buddha himself probably started saying metta, or maitri, love. And certainly the monks did, that when they repeated this teaching over and over, instead of non-hatred, which is a little abstract, love. The only way hatred is ceased, the only way hatred ceases is with love. And I do believe the historical Buddha said that, you know. That term that went on to be used, Maitri or Metta, is often translated as friendliness or kindness, and that's correct in many contexts, but there are other contexts when it really does what it means is love. You know, what the Buddha told us perhaps is fill your mind with non-hatred. When there's hatred, fill it with non-hatred. In other words, anything that has no shred of hatred in it, if that's what's in your heart and mind, then hatred ceases to be a problem for you in that moment. We don't know what word the Buddha used. He spoke Madagan, which was a dialect of Hindi. It doesn't exist anymore. The language the Buddha actually spoke, does not exist anymore. It was soon translated into Sanskrit and Pali, but he spoke Madagan. Nobody knows what that was like. It was a certain accented Hindi, certain kind of accented Hindi. And these days, that term metta or maitri is so often translated as kindness, just so we know that often the translation should be love. Both translations work in this matter, in this context, because when we are in a situation where someone is drawing hatred out of us, is oppressing us, is mistreating us in such a way that we're starting to feel anger and hatred, when that is coming up, it's pretty hard to just immediately stick love into your heart, you know. And sometimes you just need to go a little softer, you know. Sometimes what we need to express to others is kindness, you know. Most of you have seen the movie Groundhog Day. There's that one scene in Groundhog Day where this insurance agent keeps coming up to the Bill Murray character trying to sell him insurance. He's getting really tired of it, really tired of this guy. And so what he uses in this one scene to get rid of the guy is the guy comes up to sell him insurance and says, "Oh, Bob, I can't tell you how I've missed you. Is there any chance you have some free time that you could go to lunch with me right now?" And Bob takes off the other way, you know. Sometimes love isn't what you want to lay on people because it's too thick, it's too heavy for them to take in. They can't take it in. Just a little friendliness, a little kindness is what we want to express to the other, often. But what we want in our hearts is love. And if we come in too strong, lay it on too thick on others, our kindness, our caring for them, it may have an adverse effect, like in the Groundhog Day scene. But even so, nonetheless, the feeling that we need to supplant hatred in our hearts is love. There's a photo on the internet from a photo from the Holocaust, and this poor little girl, she looks like about 11, 12 years old, is being led into the gas chambers, and as she's walking into the gas chamber, somebody took this photo. You know, the story, who knows, I can't fact check this, but it was a little girl being walked into the gas chamber, and she had this photo crumpled in her hand, and the subtext says, somebody asked her, "Why are you holding that photo so tightly?" And she said, "This is a photo of my parents. When I fall, I want to fall holding love. I want to fall holding love." Now, I don't know if that story is true, but that sort of thing happened a lot. And that's how it works. That's how it works. She's surrounded by Nazis who are about to murder her, but she has a photo of her parents. That's what's in her heart, is the love. It's the only way you could feel much other than hatred in that kind of situation when you're being murdered by Nazis. The only thing that would supplant hatred would be love. If you could do it. She probably did it. I don't know if I could do it. But that's what we have to do. Love eclipses hatred. And that's the metaphor I'm going to push a little. Love eclipses hatred. Love is better than hatred. Love surpasses hatred. Love outshines hatred. Love outperforms hatred. Love outclasses hatred. Those are all ways of repeating what the Buddha advised us to do, which is to replace hatred with love in our hearts, minds, and our bodies. Replace hatred with affection. So let me double down on that analogy of an eclipse, you know. I've never seen a good eclipse of the sun, you know. You stare at the thing and your eyes are getting, I can't see it, you know. But We've seen eclipses of the moon, but you know what eclipse of the moon is when we see it? It's just the Earth's shadow covering up. You can still kind of see it there, you know? But imagine, just give me an imaginary situation. Imagine that the moon slipped out of orbit and was behind the sun. You would not see it at all. We would not see it at all. It would be gone. The reflection of the sunlight off the moon would be gone if the sun was here and the moon was there. You would never see it. That's how this works. If love is in your heart, you can't, the hatred's just gone. It can't be seen. It has been eclipsed by the love in your heart. This is the way it works. This is how it happens. It does happen. We can do this. We can do this. When we let our minds and hearts and bodies feel the love that we have for our families, for our communities, the hate becomes invisible, inactive, inoperable. As invisible as the moon would be if it slipped behind the sun. The voice Nembutsu, Namamida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Kimyo Jinjipo Mugikonor, Namanda, Buddhamanda, Namanda, Bun, the various voiced forms of Nembutsu are an expression of love. They're an expression of the Buddha's affection, concern for us, and they are the source of our ability to manifest the love we have for our family and friends, because that Nembutsu is our ticket to the Pure Land, our ticket to Buddhahood. It means that in my next life, I will make sure that everyone I care about is doing okay. If you're living in this world still, I'll come find you somehow. I will send positive influence into your lives. If you're in another corner of this metaverse, we will find you. The Buddha will help me find you. This is our ticket to resolving all the suffering for those we love. Namo Amida Butsu. And when this Nembutsu is in our heart, there really is no room for hatred. I was in Japan, when I was in Japan, the translator and scholar Dennis Hirota did private studies with myself and Reverend John Iwahara, and Reverend Michael Ayashi joined us for a while. And after a while, Mike said, when you guys get talking, whoosh, I have no idea what you're talking about. He stopped coming. But John Iwahara and I did independent study with Dennis Hirota for 3 years, I guess, 2-3 years. And there was a time when I'd been doing this independent study with Dennis Hirota, and we've been going over, of all things, the famous epilogue to the Tani Show, which says, the Nembutsu alone is true and real. Nembutsu no mizo makoto nite owashimasu. The Nembutsu alone is true and real. Nembutsu no mizo makoto nite owashimasu. So I walk downstairs, and there's this translator, an American translator, translates Buddhist texts. He's from LA. I sometimes retranslate his texts. They'll give him something in Japanese, and he'll translate it into stuff, and then they say, Greg, could you make this English? And then I retranslate his stuff. But anyway, he was there, and he said, oh, you're in the seminary now. Tell me, what do they say about Amida Buddha? What do they say about the Pure Land? How do they explain the Nembutsu? And everything I said, oh, no, that's wrong. Oh, no, that's all wrong. Everything I said was wrong, you know. But I just finished the study session. Nembutsu no mizo makoto nite aroshimasu. Namo Amida Butsu is the love of the Buddha. Namo Amida Butsu is the compassion of the Buddha for all living beings. Namo Amida Butsu is true and real. This guy's saying, no, your ideas are wrong. No, your concept of the Buddha is all wrong. No, your understanding of Nembutsu is all wrong. Okay, so be it. Namo Amida Butsu is true and real. The Nembutsu is true and real. What I'm in contact with is true and real. My concept of it is flawed. My images about it are partial, skewed, imperfect. The truth is real. Namo Amida Butsu is our contact with genuine compassion, genuine love, something much more real than hatred, much more real than criticism. Okay, I'm all wrong about what the Nembutsu is, what the Pure Land is, it's okay. Nembutsu no mizo makoto nite owashimasu. Namo Amida Butsu is my contact with what is true and real. The Nembutsu, again, is the Buddha's love for us, and it's our love for our parents and our families and everybody we care for. It's our ability to fulfill that love in the way we want to, you know? My mother died of a heart attack. They couldn't get the the mortuary couldn't get the pained expression off her face, you know. And I was in Japan when it happened, studying the Buddha Dharma. I wish I could have been there to catch her as she fell, you know. Well, I will be. I'll go back there. How does that work? We don't know. How's it going to work? How are you going to go back and help your parents and your grandparents, people who are gone now? I don't know, but this commitment is real. Our love for them is real. The Buddha's commitment to us is real. Nembutsu no miso makoto nite wash. This is real. Doesn't matter what somebody says to you. Doesn't matter. This is real. Homophobia is nonsense. You know. Nationalism, xenophobia, that's Tylenol phobia, that's all this nonsense we hear. So what? That is just fluff. Namo Mirabutsu is my contact with what is true and real. The love I have for my family is true and real, and more real than anything that I encounter. More real than hatred, more real than homophobia, more real than xenophobia, more real than violence. And we will continue to urge everyone to turn away from violence. That's not our path. We'll leave that for others. This is the message I had to share with you today, all built around that very famous, simple statement, which no doubt does go back to the historical founder, Shakyamuni Buddha. Hatred is never ended by hatred. Hatred is only ended by love, by metta, maitri, genuine caring. Thank you for listening tonight. Thank you this morning, and I hope you have a good day, afternoon, and evening, and I hope to see you next week. I'll be here next Sunday. Hope to see you. If you're not here next Sunday, be somewhere else where you're healthy, happy, and well. Thank you. In closing, join me as you will. We rely upon the source of limitless wisdom and endless life. Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo
Namo
Amida
Amida
Butsu.
Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you.
Thank you, Sensei, for a wonderful Dharma message.